Hello, cannedcream here, CC for short, and today I would like to talk to you about the Equestria Games.
And now, live via satellite, Animalympics. The 5 rings of the paw print, symbol of world peace through animal athletics. Presented by ZOO, the network that brings out the beast in sports.
Or, to be exact, expanding upon what the games could entail. I have to admit, I was one of those people who were a bit disappointed that the Equestria Games turned out to be a Spike episode. Not that it wasn't a good Spike episode, it was. But I had just been expecting something different. So naturally that got me thinking, just exactly what events could take place during the Equestria Games. Well, the show itself doesn't give us too much to go on, but does provide a rather solid foundation to build from. For example, we can see that the Games are a mirror to the Summer Olympics, an event that hosts close to 30 sports as well as several hundred individual events. While I don't feel like the Equestria Games would have quite this many, there are still a few sports we know for sure take place, as well as several others that would probably be safe to assume exist. Focusing on just cannon for a moment, we know for a fact that ice archery, aerial relay, and the air sprint are all part of the games, with the first two actually getting on-screen time, and the later having been mentioned in passing during Rainbow Falls. Now here's where we begin building up from that foundation. Both the relay and sprint are real-world events, just given a Pegasus twist. Since the games are depicted as being an all-encompassing event, I do not think it is too much of a stretch to assume there's also a grounded version of these competitions for Earth ponies and unicorns. The rules of the event don't change, everything just takes place a little closer to Earth. But I don't think the list stops there. It's my belief that we can look at several episodes in the series at the ponies engaging in other activities that translate pretty well into real-world Olympic events. Jumping back to Equestria Games, in the opening scene, we see the Ponyville team working with weights on the train ride over. Weightlifting actually is an Olympic event, and since the episode has shown that ponies are able to balance heavy barbells on their hooves without, dropping them and crushing their esophagus, it is possible to assume that they would have the same event in their own games. Though that does beg the question as to why bulk biceps didn't enter that competition for Ponyville. Well, I guess no one ever accused him of being the most potent steroid in the pill bottle.
Rainbow Dash!
Rainbow Dash actually starts with an R.
Never mind!
Swimming is another event that we've seen ponies take part in several times throughout the show's run. But for my example, I think the best place to look is Leap of Faith, where we get to see both synchronized swimming as well as high diving thanks to Granny Smith and her suicide attempt. As you probably know / have guessed, these are also real events. And since this does seem to be a local sporting event, it's likely featured in their Olympics as well. Next, if you've watched any number of my videos, then you hopefully know that I try to separate canon from headcanon. Even though I sometimes can go overboard, I at least make the effort to ensure that my sweet, wonderful viewers know that I'm giving my own personal opinions, and they are in no way meant to be taken as the one and only truth. But, with that said, there is no way in bloody blue Tartarus that equestrian jumping, eventing, and dressage are not part of the games. It has equestrian written in the freaking title, for Celestia's sake. You look me in the eye and you tell me the horse pun loving writers of MLP wouldn't make use of those. I freaking dare you. Anyway, equestrian jumping is exactly as it sounds, and in the MLP world would likely be akin to something more like the hurdle run or the high jump events, maybe even a mixture of both. Dressage is, for those of you who don't have the hundreds and hundreds of millionaire friends that I have, basically horse ballet, wherein a trainer is expected to lead a horse flawlessly through a series of predetermined movements entirely from memory. This one is a bit harder to transcribe, as the event is more of a judgment on the skill of the trainer than that of the actual horse. But both rhythmic and artistic gymnastics are Olympic events, and could make for a tidy stand-in for the MLP universe. Finally, eventing is pretty much the first two events mixed in with cross-country running, and can either be done in a single day or over the course of 3. So imagine having to perform an elaborate gymnastics routine, running 2.5 to 7.5 miles, and then jumping over a bunch of stuff. You know what? Bravo to the pony that can go through all that and not die. Just talking about it makes me feel winded. There are also a lot of other sporting events that can be modified for pony kind. Boxing, tennis, fencing, golf. While seemingly all ill-fit for four-legged creatures, by this point I've stopped doubting there's anything Whooves can't do. I tell you what, Friendship does not have a thing compared to the magic of Whooves. So far, we've talked about events that I felt fairly confident about in their existence. But there is one last thing that, honestly, I'm still not sure about. And that's, does the Equestria Games have magic events? Well, at first, I feel inclined to say yes. After all, we've already seen events that focus on the prowess of 2 of the 3 pony races. It's that anti-cheating magical checkpoints that leave me wondering. I suppose it's possible they turn them off for the contestants, but kinda ruins the point of them, doesn't it? So maybe they give the ponies back their powers for the event and then take them away again? It seems time-consuming, but it's possible they have similar stations set up in the player entrances like they do at the front gates. But even assuming that's the case, then what kind of magical events are there? Magic in Equestria has shown to be so advanced and complex. How do you channel that into a few key events to show off excellence? Maybe they just have one big talent show.
Plenty of room for my puppets.
On second thought, maybe not. Still, makes for an interesting thought. What about you, dear listener? What events do you think are held during the Equestria Games? Could magic be a part of it? And which would you like to see or compete in yourself? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and as always,
Stay pony, my friends.